Good
No.
morning.
Good
Still
morning, all.
pixelated?
Little pixely, not terrible. Little.
Let me try something here.
And you're trying what? Because now it's just me on camera. Man, the wind took something out of my hair.
Oh, I got pixelated.
You got what?
I don't think I'm pixelated now.
Not as much. No.
Not as much. Oh, it'll go there back. I'm trying. I changed it. I didn't realize I've been in 480p the whole time.
As opposed to?
I'm trying 720, but I tried 720 yesterday and it kept kicking off screens, so we'll see.
Awesome.
Today on Double Funnel, skipping Friday.
Skipping Friday.
Did you put some
We're gonna
settings?
have Friday, but we're not gonna skip Friday.
Christmas will come early.
I mean, we're moving Friday to Thursday, that's all.
Now, were you able to put some stuff together for how financial advisors can get more appointments, more clients?
Well, sure, and that's actually how anybody can use more tools to how anybody can use tools to whatever. And one of the things I wanted to actually talk about is how the Growth Business Network could take advantage of tools to give people opportunities through the year. So that's why I sent you the message yesterday that you didn't respond to. So we can do it live. No, the number one thing, tools for getting appointments. This all goes back to whether you're in financial services, whether you're in real estate, whether you're in just any of those businesses where you are asking somebody for their time. You have to recognize that. The only way that you can get, so in financial services, as an example, the only way that you can get down to the absolute need for a person or a couple is to have their information. Kind of sounds common sense, right? It sounds fairly simple. But the point is, most people, unfortunately, especially newer financial planners or insurance agents or things like that, try to guess or try to use approximations and whatever. And I think I've shared on Double Funnel TV before, there was a period in my career where I worked with an economist, and he actually developed a formula of asking 12 questions. And by the time he had asked and the prospect had answered those 12 questions, he could put a pretty sound valuation of a small business value and therefore their needs. And
value like in what they would sell for?
Yes, a valuation of the business. In most cases, a small business doesn't have a valuation, right? You say, I do this, I've got this book of business, or I've got this, or I've got that. And it's really kind of so I think I'm worth XYZ, right? Well, he actually developed a process of being able to ask 12 questions to get 12 KPIs, key performance indicators, key pieces of information. And from those 12, we could then say, well, your business, Jena, is worth X number of millions of dollars, or X point Y numbers of millions of dollars, or whatever that case might be. Now, why that's important is, should you have something happen to you on an untimely nature, which nobody desires, but should that happen, in order to keep the business going and producing what it's producing, you need Y in insurance coverage. You could then determine a number, and it was now logical to the small business owner. And the number one thing in financial planning or in insurance is the financial planner themselves has been trained in what they do. Make sense? Of course it makes sense.
Of course it is.
The person that they're calling on typically has not been trained in those same thought processes. So where the financial planner may be trained that you need X number of times your cash flow, or X number of times your this, or whatever, to logically have a sustainable business going forward should some negative event take place, the prospect, in the vast majority of cases, has not been trained in those same thoughts.
Yeah.
And so we go back, and that's why when I keep on going back to the three absolutes and that these are foundational, this is exactly why they're foundational. Because people do business with those they know, like, and most importantly, trust. And
are the three foundations, or are these the different three foundations?
No, it's the same three foundations, and know, like, and trust is really the middle foundation. The first is WIIFT, what's in it for them. We've got to come from that others orientation. The second is people do business with those they know, like, and trust. And the third is people take action when they're ready. But the reason those three are foundational, and I repeat them over and over and over again, is because they are applicable over and over and over again. Don't dismiss how important these three tenets of presenting anything are. They're phenomenally important. And when you embody them in everything you do, when you get them to the level where I have them, I recognize this at all, and it's not, and you can embody them just the exact same way I have. It's not a matter of I'm trying to get you to do something I don't do, or this is just a concept. This is not a concept. This is not just a theory. This is real life selling. So if we go back to that middle tenet, of people do business with those they know, like, and trust. The reason that we have to gain information from our prospects is to be able to have that shared ground, that shared common experience, that shared understanding of need. So again, I remember when I first got into the financial services businesses way back when, you were taught, well, they'll probably need $1 million in insurance or $4 million in insurance. And to me, as I learned it, that sounded like a really big number.
That is a big number.
Well, but if it sounded like a really big number to me, how do you think it sounded to your prospect? And so the reason that appointment setting and getting information and more quality information and all that becomes so important is to now have them truly feel and experience your care and concern for doing it right for them, right? For getting this number right. This isn't a number I just pulled out of the air because this is what my boss taught me it needed to be. This is a number that we've established based on your cash flow, your desire, the cost of running your business, all this different information. It becomes a logical calculation to make an emotional decision about.
Right.
Right. So again, the reason that setting an appointment and getting in front of people is so important is it's the first step in getting the information you need to create the rest of the sales process. So that's why it gets to be so important. So again, sometimes I think in sales training, people think, I just don't get why why are you staying on this point so long, or why are you working to share this concept or whatever. And the reason is actually fairly simple, because it's important. I mean, if you understand this foundationally, do it. So if we always put ourselves in our prospect's shoes, and the only thing that we all have in common, which is disposable and we can never get back, is time.
Yes.
And so if I say to you, Jena, I need an hour of your time, or I would like an hour of your time, we are truly asking for something that's tremendously valuable, because it's perishable. Part of this is the mindset of selling and recognizing that time is valuable. And if I'm asking you for your time, I need to, in order to get that commitment from you for your time, I need to be able to share with you why you will gain value and you will benefit from sharing an hour of your time with me. So this is where, again, when we get into
because we're busy. I get that. As moms, I feel like I have to be like highly guarded of my time.
So you just made a prime statement. As a mom, I feel like I have to be highly guarded of my time. In selling, they would call that an objection, right? It's a true care and concern of yours. Your prospect has this true care and concern of giving you a piece of their time away from their kids in exchange for you being able to understand their situation and then diagnose and prescribe.
Yes.
Because Jim Cathcart said it, prescription without diagnosis is malpractice. So to believe that everybody is cookie cutter and that everybody needs the exact same thing, that everybody wants the exact same thing is naive, because
exactly.
they really don't. So again, when we get into talking about something as precious as asking somebody for their time, one of the things we can do is reward them for their time with something of value to them away from your business. Meaning, I expect you to talk to me about your offer or your product or your stuff and how that's going to provide me value. Okay.
Hopefully.
But if you can provide me value just because, that's awesome. So how do people do that? Well, they might do it with a gift card, or in the financial services industry, one of the things they do is come to a free lunch or to a free dinner so that we can share.
Can they even do that much anymore? Who was it? Grover was telling me they're capped at spending $120 per person now.
Right.
So one has to be careful.
Well, exactly. That's the other side of it. So then the I think FTC in that case, it might be SEC.
Yeah.
It's one of the it's one of the two or both.
Or
Has
one,
been-
okay. One of
yeah,
those.
it has come back in and said we can only do certain things to certain levels to ensure that that we abide by the rules. And we all want everybody to abide by the rules. We want nobody to do anything outside the rules because they're rules for a reason. And they will cause you problems if you go outside the rules. So the point is, how do you give somebody something that is of value to them as a reward in exchange for your time? That's really kind of what we started talking about here. So when I ask you for an hour of your time, number one, I should be well planned out to make that hour a very valuable hour. But the other side of it is, what tools could I use to create a thank you in exchange for your time? So as an example, that's one of the reasons we came out with the travel savings passports.
Mm-hmm.
They have a high perceived value, $500 or $1,000 in travel savings for a cost below the rules and below the right. In other words, that they don't cost they cost less than the $125 that you're allowed to spend on somebody, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, but they have a high perceived value for a lesser cost or expense on your side. So that's one of the reasons that we use the travel savings passports in the financial services arena, the insurance arena, some of those places, to say, Jena, I know, boss mom, I know you're busy. And quite frankly, I love the fact that you love your kids and you love your family. And so I want to make sure that we get a chance to talk and I gain the information necessary to truly put a plan together for your consideration that covers your potential wants, needs, and desires. And in order to do that, I really need about an hour of time together. Now, again, not only are we going to take care of you long term, but as a thank you for giving me that hour of your very valuable time, I would like to give you a gift of $1,000 in travel savings just for setting that appointment with me. At the end of our appointment.
Oh my gosh.
What's that?
That's so smooth. The concept of me being that smooth, I can't even imagine it, but that's smooth.
Well, but the concept. Okay, I think where you may be getting caught up, and I don't know this for sure, but what I think you think that is almost like a sales tactic, and in reality, it's not. What it is understanding human beings.
But it's smooth. Like for someone who's not intuitively like into human communication, that was always a struggle. It doesn't sound like it's super salesy. It does sound caring, but it's just rolls right off the tongue.
The reason that it sounds caring is because it is caring.
It's also like the order. You've like in one sentence.
Right.
I mean, you have to remember my brain thinks in more of algorithms and math problems and, here's X, Y, Z in the right order to get the right solution. So what I'm hearing in the sentence is I feel like you've taken all those objections, all the issues, and you've rolled them up into one perfect little problem, one math problem, one algorithm to solve the problem.
Yeah, that's exactly what you do. So you and I actually solve problems very similarly. The difference is you do it in a digital nature and you take this algorithm and then you run the 12-step sales letter process. Okay, this is that's an algorithm in actuality, right? I got to make sure that it does this and 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 calls this emotion at this time and does this, blah, blah, blah. So you do that from a digital marketing side. What I just shared was doing it from a human, relational, and strategic side. If you're going to grace me with an hour of your time, wouldn't it be nice if I cared enough to reward you for that? I think so. And so, in fact, it makes sense to create an ancillary reward or look for in whether it be in digital marketing or in face-to-face sales and marketing. It's called a premium. Why is it called a premium? I offer a premium because you now get something up and beyond
Right.
for this trade, whether it be of time, of money, of value, of whatever, right? So I'm offering you a premium, and I'm smart enough to understand that if you're boss mom, that pretty much shows that you care about your kids, your family, you kind of like being with them. Well, if I can find a premium that allows you to be a hero to your kids, doesn't that make some sense? Because now we can do the business. I can ask you the questions I need so that I can value your business and what we're going to protect through insurance or what we're going to protect through investment or whatever that case might be. And along with that, let me compliment you on the fact you love your kids. Let me support you in the fact that I think that families should get away and spend time together. We have found a really cool way to accomplish that fits under the rules and guidelines, that allows you to now save $1,000 on travel with hotels or resorts or cars or activities. And because you have given me the value of your time, I would like to give you this value that you can enjoy. And that, in essence, is what you're doing when you talk about, premiums, or we started this off talking about the tools that you can use to create incentive for people or to reward people. And I think that's really, I even use the word reward as opposed to incentive. Because yes, it is an incentive, but that's more of a, I'm coming to you with something to work to have you decide to take an action. Whereas a reward is you've already made the decision to take the action, and this is a reward. This is a thank you for that.
All right, let's try that again. An incentive is more
me towards you.
I'm trying to get you.
Yeah. And so it comes, it's more like motivation, inspiration. Motivation is an outside in activity. If I motivate you to take action, you will typically only take those actions as long as that motivation continues.
I think I'm following now.
So whereas inspiration is an inside out activity, you make that decision, and because you're inspired, you're given a reward because you're like, yeah, I want to do this. Okay, let me reward you and congratulate you for doing that. And so a lot of these things are, um, you know, are the details or the intricacies of it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you do it consistently, it becomes how you do it. You reward people. You thank people. A thank you is actually a reward. But how many people have gotten out of even just saying a simple thank you?
Right.
It's like, well, by God, it's expected. No, it's not. It's interesting because I'm trying to think who I was in the conversation with yesterday, but we were talking about how much better things can be if we would oh, I know, I was recording a TV show. That's when I did it. And in the show that I did yesterday, that if we would go back to respecting each other, honoring each other, providing dignity to each other, it would be much better. It just respect, honor, and dignity. It's just a thing. And you watch so many, if you watch TV and if you watch reality TV, you'll see how people don't respect each other. They don't honor each other. They don't lift each other up. They don't
Oh,
allow the other person the dignity that they're due. And then we wonder why there are issues. I saw a great response. I'm not working to get political here because I don't think it's political, actually, unless people get offended and turn it political.
oh goodness.
But there's a great response to a question about, um, again, unfortunately, there was a quasi mass shooting, and a number of people were shot and a couple were killed and whatever. And so it was, they just attacked the governor of Kentucky about gun control. And he said, it's not the gun. It's the sensibilities we've lost as a society. And I'm not doing him justice in his answer, but I would encourage people to look up the answer because
I think I remember watching this one. This one went viral.
it
It was from an older incident.
amazing answer about dignity, honor, and respect. And we've taken away constraint. Just because you have the right to say something doesn't mean you should say something. You have the right to, okay, but there are consequences to things that you say and do. But what we're doing is, in many cases, we're taking away the consequences. And freedom of speech without consequences problematic. Freedom of anything without consequence is problematic. So again, not trying to get down in the weeds, but I'm just saying, if you think about respect, honor, and dignity as you're excuse me, as you're setting an appointment with somebody else, think about respect, honor, and dignity. How do I dignify the time that I'm asking for here? How do I honor their time?
Dignify it.
Right? How do I respect them in their situation, especially when we're in a time in our world where not everybody offers that respect. I mean, it's interesting because in my generation, we used to laugh about it. We'd go down to the Caribbean or whatever, and all of a sudden people would be on island time. Island time is if you're supposed to do everything, if you're supposed to do it at 3:30, well, it might be 3:45 mon. I mean, it's island time, right? Our world is on island time. There are a lot of people who have adopted 345 means is 330 to me. No, 330 is 330. I mean, it's, and again, when we get into, now we get into buying styles and buying types and things like that. If you are a very structured buying style and you say, we have a 3:30 appointment and you show up at 3:32, you've blown it.
Right.
3:32 is not 3:30. And it's not even like it's 3:40 is not 3:30. No, I mean, it's like anything that's not 3:30 is not 3:30, right? So again, when we talk about these things about premiums or whatever, let's create premiums or let's create rewards that people can truly value, that truly provides them value, that rewards them for taking the action that they'd like to do. So this is actually what I called you about yesterday in conjunction with Business Growth Network.
Okay.
We were working on our travel club page yesterday, last couple of days on Double Funnel TV.
Mm-hmm.
And yesterday afternoon, after, we had made great progress on it yesterday, and then we, kind of had some placeholders in there and whatever. And so after I finished a couple other meetings, I stopped down and I worked on it yesterday afternoon, and I filled in those placeholders and I tweaked it and I did a couple different things and whatever. And that's where I'd sent it to you and said, hey, take a look. And I know you're busy. We're both busy.
Oh, I took a look. I thought you were talking about something different. I noticed you added the things you talked about.
Exactly.
Adding the what it really means to your specific avatar to have the Travel Rewards Club.
Right. So anyway, I started thinking about that, so I was working on it and I did that. And then I started thinking about Business Growth Network. And I started thinking about because I got a call from a friend who needs to be one of our faculty, in my opinion. I think she'd be a great addition to our faculty.
Okay.
So, which again is up for discussion. I get all that, but I'm just saying that. So I was in that conversation, and it occurred to me she'd be a great addition to the Business Growth Network faculty. And then I got to thinking about what we had done with Travel Club yesterday and the desire to reward people for taking a positive action of becoming a Business Growth Network member.
Okay.
And I said, well, we could put these two together as a nice reward, right? So what I didn't know is there I know we've talked consistently $17 a month to be a Business Growth Network member so that they can have access to thousands, if not tens of thousands, if not truly hundreds of thousands of dollars in tools and education and mentoring and things like that, right? $17 a month. Is there an annual number for that? I mean, has it ever been presented as an annual number?
Yes. So we did it when we did the Business Growth Summit, Network Summit at the beginning of the year that you were participating in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's $17 a month is $204 a year. Mm-hmm. And I believe we offered it at like $147. And then for a special for people who participated or did it fast, it was like $97. But yeah, it's been wrapped up. And for people who are buying with iTex, we do yearly.
Okay. So as an example, here's what I was thinking of. I thought it'd be probably around $200, but I didn't really know. Or, it should be about $200, but you probably discounted it off of $200. It's kind of what was going through my mind. Not that I knew exactly. Well, our travel club for two people for a year for as much as they can save for a year for two people, with hotels and resorts and cruises and cars and local activities, is $198. What if you purchase the Business Growth Network for a year and got a travel club for two along with it, and the total was $198? In other words, our program's $198. The Business Growth Network is approximately $198. What if you got them both for
Look at them all put
$198?
together.
Yeah. What if we did that through the end of the year? What do you think?
I think we could do that.
So that's what I was thinking yesterday. That's why I reached out to you, because but that is an example of providing a reward. We want actually each offer there has its own set of wants. With the Business Growth Network, as faculty, we really want people to take advantage, become members, so that we can help lift them up in their business, provide them this training, provide them places where they can get the resources they need, find the tools that they need, do the different things that they need. So we want you to be successful by becoming a member of the Business Growth Network. We understand that mentoring one-on-one or individually or whatever is sometimes cost prohibitive. As much as you need it, sometimes you can't accomplish it. Well, that's exactly why.
I talked to a coach yesterday, one-on-one for 1 hour a week for 12 weeks was $3,000 to $7,500, and he's not even expensive.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. And so that's why I got to thinking about, well, why don't we do something as a Christmas rush? Give yourself a present. Why don't we do it through the end of the year just for fun? Why don't we figure out how to put it out to support people? Because as Business Growth Network faculty, we have a desire to see you succeed in 2019. We quite frankly have a desire to see you be successful for the rest of 2018, but we really want you to be successful in 2019. And so that's why we're coming together as faculty for the Business Growth Network. Okay, so that's that side. Well, when it comes to Travel Club, we truly want business owners to be able to travel more on business, save money doing it, and apply that money back into their business. We truly want that for people. We need to wake people up. And I was at Sam's yesterday, and in fact, I grabbed their membership. And what's funny is I had to renew my annual membership yesterday. Interesting that I lived this myself yesterday. I renewed my annual membership at Sam's so that ultimately I could buy more stuff at less cost. Interesting. Well, that's exactly what the U+1 Travel Club is. You can get more travel at less cost. And there's normally, it's $198 a year for you and your significant other to do that. Well, but it's Christmas. Let's put it together with Business Growth Network. And our desire, again, is for you to save money on your stuff, on your travel, so that you can apply it to your business, number one, or number two, that you could use it because you're working hard in your business to get away, because you got to refresh. Recreation is really a combination of the word recreate yourself. You've got to recreate. You got to recreate yourself consistently. That's what recreation is. People don't recognize it that way, but that's really what the word came from. And so, again, I was looking at some of our common goals, our shared goals, some of our independent goals. And I called Sean yesterday afternoon while I was renewing my membership. at Sam's. And I said, hey, this just gave me an idea. And he said, what's that? And I said, well, we're going to go hot and heavy with the Business Growth Network in 2019 for sure. What if for Christmas and for the rest of the year, for the annual price of becoming a Business Growth member, we throw in the travel club to anybody who takes that action? He goes, I love it. Let's do it. So that's our offer. But that's what I was going to talk to you offline about. I hadn't really intended on doing
I
it.
remember you called yesterday, but I was on a sales call.
See?
I was like, you didn't send me a message. You called me. Oh,
yeah, it's a novel concept. I actually use the phone as a phone. It's not a texting device. But anyway,
I was debating, like, do I need phone service?
Yes, you need phone service. But again, this is part of when we would like to, this is how business owners come together to use the tools they have available to them to create a reward for people taking a positive action. If people take the positive action of becoming Business Growth Network members for 2019 and pay the annualized, and let's make it 198. And now you get our 198 program and in essence your 204 program all for 198. Make sense?
I like that idea.
Okay.
And so that would be the example of like wrapping it back to the conversation of how do you sell more? You wrap up your offer into more rewards.
Exactly. And that was the other side of it. Is you said, did I plan? Yeah, I actually have thought about this a lot. I thought, why not demonstrate it and offer it right then and there? So here's an example. People said sometimes, and they go, well, you want to just make money. Well, wait a second. If you take a program that's $204 a year and another program that's $198 a year, and you get them both and you pay $198, you pay the lesser number, do you really think we're doing it to get rich? Or could it possibly be what we've actually shared with you is we want you to take advantage of it and build your business? So you got a choice of how you look at that offer immediately. And again, I think that small business folks and entrepreneurs have kind of been jabbed a lot.
Just a little bit.
And so if we, with Business Growth Network and with U+1 and with us coming together, if we can do things that serve you, we're your trusted vetted resources. We're trying to pull some trusted vetted resources together for you so that you can do what you do. But it's the exact same example. Would it be possible if you said, if you were a financial planner that said, you know what, I would love to meet with you for an hour, and as a reward, I'm part of a group called the Business Growth Network. I would like to pay your first month, your first 90 days, so that you can not only get my expertise on this specific personal issue, but we can give you this premium of Business Growth Network and that access for 30, 60, or 90 days. Or could you come to U+1 and say, hey, I would love to give you the option of travel. So here are the travel savings passports for $1,000 in travel savings. Or could you do both? The point is, whatever you can do within the rules established for your industry to create a credible and valuable reward beyond just spending time together. Do more than just be there for that hour. Then the other side of that is make that hour extremely valuable, be planned out, and run that appointment very well.
Wow. Yeah.
right?
Don't try to just wing it.
No, and in where I was trained, and we had a process called capital needs analysis, where we actually, again, ask specific questions to make sure that we diagnosed the need properly and then align the need with the prescription, with the how to solve the need immediately. And in fact, it was actually a second call. We couldn't take the information you gave us right then and there and really do a quality job of giving you the solution you needed. It was actually a two-parter,
Okay.
but that was okay.
That's okay.
Exactly.
So kind of like to wrap it up.
How would you
For
like to wrap it up?
someone who needs more appointments. Top 5 tips.
Get your head screwed on straight.
Okay.
But I know that sounds funny, but I think that far too often, managers, pound the phones. You've got to, just keep on call. And so as an example, I was always taught if I made 10 calls, I would have the opportunity for 3 kind of conversations, 2 that progressed to the point where 1 would get me an appointment. So it was a 10, 3, 2, 1. Now, isn't it interesting that industry has, right around about a 10% close rate? Well, why does it have a 10%? It has a 10% close rate because that's what they were taught. They were taught to expect that. Where if I called 10 people, I got through to 8 of them because I did more research up front, of which I basically sold 8 of them. I didn't. So, here I was at a 70 or 80% close rate. And you know what my bosses were saying to me at those days? You're not making enough outbound calls. Well, that's ridiculous. That's exactly it. Their standard was, how many calls do you make? I was going to say I could pick up a phone book and everybody go, what? A phone book? What's a phone book? I can go to my contact list on my phone. I got 3,000 or 4,000 people in my phone. I can just start dialing numbers all day long. What good's that do me? To be busy. What are the quality? Who's the right avatar? So the first part is get your head on right. Second one is know your avatar. Know who needs what you have. There's a pretty good anybody who is anybody should, and that's what we're doing with our travel club page. If you think about it, right? We actually refined who our avatar was to take it from people who just love travel to business people specifically that we can save money with. It's a different avatar. It's the niches, the riches are in the niches.
They're in the niches.
Right? From that side. The third one is be immediately grateful. And people's time truly is money. And so be immediately grateful with, hey, Jena, thank you so much for just taking a minute out of your time. From XYZ, from the information you provided on our website, from the conversation I had with you at the networking meeting, from the information that your good friend Dave shared, however I got you as a potential contact, acknowledge that, right? It
That's something
sounds like,
small.
yeah, it sounds like you've got a great friend in Dave, and he shared that you guys had had a conversation about, and he thought it might be valuable for us to talk. Now I've identified, it's not like I'm just stalking you, right? Somebody has referred you to me. But again, most people say, well, Dave told me you needed me. It's like, well, that's creepy, right? Whereas if I'm grateful, I'm truly grateful that your friend Dave cares enough about you that he shared there might be value in us getting together. Notice how I said there might be? Well, that's not assuming that there will be. And whereas if I come at you harder and say, Dave assumed that you would you would gain value from meeting with me. Well, now you just threw Dave under the bus. You
That is
come
throwing Dave under the bus.
you come in sounding like a jerk, right? And I know that people teach, being more assertive and things like that. People do business with those they know, like, and trust. I've got to earn your trust. And if we've never talked before, for me to make the assumption that you want to meet with me is not a great way to come into it. But me being grateful for the possibility to put it together, because the exact same thing. If, as an example, Dave truly knew your situation and truly felt that you needed, that we needed to meet, it doesn't mean you needed to meet with me the first time I called you. I might have to call you 30 days from now. I might have to call you 60 days from now. People work, and I get the intent of the one call close.
The one call close.
But the reality, because getting an appointment is a close. You're closing them into the appointment. Yes, that's a desire. My caution is don't do it at the detriment of blowing away what could be a valuable relationship. Doesn't that make sense?
It does, because then nobody's going to talk to you if you try to hard close them the first
Right.
time.
So now we're grateful as we do it. The fourth one is make it convenient to connect. Don't be so set in how you do it that it impairs the possibilities.
What would be an
And
example there?
well, I prefer, personally, I prefer to do face-to-face meetings. Now, the beauty in this day and age is that means a number of different things. Back in the old days,
Oh, days.
we'd have to physically, I would come out to somebody's home. Some people still are great with that. Some people are not so great with that. So the next could be, well, at the Starbucks, at Paradise Bakery, at this, at that, some neutral place where we can physically meet. And then the third is we've got the beauty of Zoom, that we can see each other. I love Zoom too. But it's because if you go back to training 2 weeks ago about communication, because the communication is far more than just the words. So the reason I want to be face to face is because now I can see, because you're there. That would be preferred. And so sometimes that's in the home, sometimes it's in an outside location, sometimes it might be by Zoom or Skype or something like that. And then so that hopefully explains that. And then the last one is just be authentic and respect, honor, give respect, honor, and dignity in setting this up. Be pure in your intent. maybe that's the way to put it, is be pure in your intent.
Intent.
Is really be there for them. Hey, we have, and again, you only have one chance to make a first impression. So if I say to you, Jena, we know that everybody we sit down with sees value in our program. You'd go, right? Or if I say, hey, Jenny, what we found is many times folks in what I understand to this point is your situation, see some great value in this, but I don't want to guess that it's of value. I'd really like to know. In order to do that, it's much really better that I ask you some questions and then we share some information, we get to know each other, because the only way to solve the issue is to really understand it fully. Does that make sense? Can we get together? It's a different, right? As opposed to, in other words, have a pure intent of being of service to that other person, because that's really what it's all about.
Instead of trying to hustle and churn.
Exactly. Too many people they're hustling all the time. So has this made some sense?
I think it has. I think a lot of people are looking for a magic bullet, and that's not what you're giving. You're saying the basics will get you a lot further.
The reason the basics are called the basics is because they're basic. And when we try to skip over the top of them, you can't. You want to build a house that doesn't have any foundation? In Las Colinas, if you build a house and you don't put pier and beam down to the bedrock, your house will come out of the ground. It might look really good for a little while, but the ground will push it out of the ground and will break your house apart. So your house will not last very long. Whereas if you take pier and beam and you drill it down to bedrock so that you have locked your house onto a solid foundation of bedrock, now you can build your house and your house won't move and your house won't collapse and your house won't break. But you have to get a foundation. And the reason the basics are the basics and foundation is because they are. You can't build you can build them. Look at the hotels in Dubai and the Freedom Tower in New York City. In order to build up, they first had to go down and create a foundation. They had to set the foundation in place to build from. And selling is the exact same thing. You have to set a foundation to build from. We did the BGN Summit a year ago.
Yes.
And it has taken, and I'm not going to say it's taken a year, but it's taken a good part of the year to develop a relationship to the extent where we are today. But it started with the foundation, with the how can I serve you in what you're working to do, right? That's how it all started, because that's all setting the foundation. It's setting the bedrock. It's going down to bedrock and doing all that. And so, again, we live in an immediate gratification, me, now society. And yet, not everything works immediately.
No.
And when we try to make it work immediately, see, we're being deceived by the speed of knowledge. We're being deceived by the speed of information. We think that just because we can get something really fast, not ever, I don't want to overgeneralize, but many times because we can get something really fast, we think it's really good.
Right.
What it is it's really fast. Really good typically isn't really fast. I mean, it doesn't mean it can't be, but generally it's kind of been planned for a little bit. There's not so much stuff that's so extemporaneous that it works, right?
Right.
That's why selling
I like that.
Selling is great in relationships. It's a series of events. Selling is not a singular event. It's a series of events.
Very interesting. We're going to wrap it up. I hope
Yep.
that was helpful to everybody. Like I said, I feel like we all want that magic pill where we can just, oh, you just go do this and it'll magically happen. But I think you broke down the foundation really well to show when you're trying to pursue those magic bullets, why they don't work.
Yeah,
If you're laid across a foundation,
more than likely somebody hasn't taken you aside, or they've done it the other way and just they're more about numbers and about churn and well, I'm gonna tell you to do it this way and I'm gonna burn through you, and which is really unfortunate for people, but people do that, right?
outstanding. Well, I hope that was helpful to everybody. If you have any business questions, hop over to the FemBot Army for Warfare Marketing, and you can ask Scott directly, and we will put together your questions for the next Friday sales training.
Exactly.
You can hear I'm desperately losing my voice. That's why I've been quiet today.
Yeah, right. That's the reason. Kidding.
I've got about, I think, like
Anyway.
30 minutes worth of voice before it goes out completely.
Okay. Well, until next week, this has been fun. All right.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.